Hello everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your regular daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. And before I get into it, comment on investing psychology. One of the reasons I am going to make a commitment to do this for you every day is I know that when you're investing and trading, fear and greed are the dominant emotions and you need to be aware of it and avoid them making decisions for you. I am trying to give you a regular commentary from an experienced professional in a really calm manner so that every day you know you can rely on me, even if nothing's changed in the market, to give you a calm take on the market from an experienced and professional perspective. And I am hoping that this is going to help you manage those emotions of fear and greed, that my calm, regular, reliable commentary will help you make better decisions and remove the fear and greed from those decision-making processes. So even though it may be repetitive, I think it's important that I do this every day for you. And Bitcoin, well, pretty much nothing's changed, but I've got a couple of things to note on this chart for you. It's still finding resistance at the lower edge of this nice looking channel. We do have a hammer candlestick pattern. We did have a follow through, which is really good to see, by an upward session which has some support from volume. And so it is possible that a low is in here, but I do still think it's less likely. I think what we're most likely to see is downward movement to 19,500 to complete the downward, this bear market, this deep correction, for it to be a normal depth of a bear market, even a short-term one for Bitcoin. This is absolutely normal to be expected volatility. This is an insanely volatile market. Let's expect for now, price is going to find resistance at the lower edge of this channel if we do have an unexpected bounce, but I expect downward movement is most likely, and I want to see a new high above 3206.08 to break the pattern of lower highs and lower lows to tell us that the downward trend is over and we're in the next wave up, which I expect is going to be a really good one. So we did have a little push from volume in that bullish candlestick after the hammer pattern, so we can have some confidence in that hammer candlestick pattern. The problem with candlestick patterns, though, is they tell you there's going to be a trend change, but they don't tell you two things. They don't tell you what direction the next trend is going to be, because there's three directions for price, remember. There's up, there's down, but there's also sideways. So we had a downward trend, a hammer candlestick pattern appeared, but it doesn't tell us if there's going to be a change from down to up or down to sideways. And the second thing a candlestick pattern does not tell you is how long the next trend will last. So the hammer's not telling us, are we going to have a full 180-degree shift from down to up? Doesn't tell us. Doesn't tell us if we're having a sideways move, how long that's going to last. So you have to put it in context of your other indicators, and for me I also put it in context of Elliott Wave, but I can't share my Bitcoin Elliott Wave count with you because that's for my subscribers on my website, and I update that every Monday in full. There's no new range and no new signal from on balance volume. Well, I could draw a resistance line here and a support line here, but the range would be sloping in the same direction as the trend for on balance volume, so it'd have really low technical significance. I've done it for Ethereum and XRP. I'll show you what that looks like, but no signal from on balance volume. This bearish signal here was quite substantial. It was followed by strong downward movement. The follow through from that signal could very well be done now. ADX is still telling us there's a downward trend. It's not extreme though, and I've adjusted my guides for ADX. I've put the lower edge to 15 and the upper edge to 45, because when I look back on the price history for these markets, very extreme gets above 45. They can get up to 60, 70 or even above. And 15 is my lower limit. Below 15, if the ADX line is below 15, it's too low to indicate a trend. So this is the line I need for the lower edge. There is a little bit of bullish divergence between price and RSI on a closing basis, so I will note it, but I'm not going to give it much weight because price only closed $8.55 lower. The amount of difference here is so minuscule. This is one reason I'm expecting we're possibly going to get a little bit more downward movement, one final low. No divergence between price and money flow. So no change in my expectations for Bitcoin. My Ethereum Elliott Wave count has cycle 1 and 2, which is on the monthly chart. Within cycle 3, primary 1 and 2 complete. Primary 2, a normal 83% correction of primary 1, so it's probably over there. Primary 3, if it reaches 11.09, the length of primary 1 would reach up to 54,226. That's a Fibonacci ratio I'm using for that target. Absolutely For a cryptocurrency, for Ethereum, this is actually somewhat realistic, so that's a realistic expectation. Primary 3 may only subdivide as an impulse, and I have intermediate 1 incomplete with minor 1, 2, and now minute 1, 2. Minute 2 to move for one final low, which probably will likely find support at the lower edge of this trend line. So draw this line from this low to this low. Make sure your chart's on a semi-log scale. Here it is in close-up. Minute 2, a zigzag, minuet A, minuet B, an expanded flat, minuet C, an impulse with subminuet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For Ethereum, subminuet 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory. A new high above 1,800.89 would tell us that the impulse of minuet C, and so the zigzag of minute 2 would then probably be complete, and then I'd expect that the bear market is complete. But I expect for now subminuet 5 to be a final fifth wave down to find support at this trend line. Technicals for Ethereum still haven't changed. It's still finding resistance, not absolutely perfectly, but pretty darn close to the lower edge of this channel. Support below 1360. This upward session did have some push from volume for Ethereum. The lower wick on this candlestick here, though, is not long enough for this to be a hammer candlestick, but we did have a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern this is, which does have push from volume. So it's possible we could have a low for Ethereum, but I think it's more likely that we're going to see one final low. On balance volume gave us a bearish signal here, a lot of follow through. Now this is what I mean. I've drawn a resistance line here and a support line here, but when your resistance and support lines are in the same direction as the larger trend for on balance volume, they really have less technical significance. Here they're against the trend, here they're with the trend, so really low technical significance. But I like to draw my lines when it's possible, as early as possible, and then be open to adjusting them. ADX is extreme because it's above both the DX lines. It's getting close to very extreme. I've adjusted my guides to 45 and 15 for all of these. If ADX reaches above 45, this would be a very extreme downward trend for Ethereum, and I'd expect the low to be very, very quick after that. Ethereum will have a very, very extreme trends, but more extreme on the upside to the downside. There's a strong bullish bias to this market, despite its bear markets being extremely deep. The volatility is so high. No bullish divergence between price and RSI. It's back in neutral territory. Likewise, money flow. And so my conclusion for Ethereum remains the same. And while price is below 1875.24 and especially below 1800.89, while price remains below those points, assume the trend remains the same, down, until proven otherwise. My wave count for XRP sees a cycle degree second wave over here. When 2 ends, 3 begins. Cycle 3 may only subdivide as an impulse, and at primary degree that will be labelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So primary 3 in its early stages. Intermediate 1 I will label incomplete. I'll have this leading expanding diagonal here, only minor 1. Now expecting more downward movement for minor 2 to reach a more normal depth. For cryptocurrencies, the second wave corrections are very commonly 80 or 0.8 to 90% the depth of the first wave they're correcting, so 0.40954 to 0.34447, still expecting one final low to reach down into that zone. On the daily chart here, we see the structure of this correction labelled minor 2 as a double zigzag. For XRP, if we see a new high above 0.6650, then I would label minor 2 over. That's because within minute Y, minuet B may not move beyond the start of minuet A above 0.6650. Technicals for XRP pretty much the same. There's pretty strong support at 40 cents, below that at 30 cents. So that strong support at 40 cents is beautifully in that zone. At the upper edge of that zone I have for minor wave 2 to end. For XRP, the volume moving price higher was pretty light though. Overall now price is moving sideways, volume is declining, absolutely typical behaviour of a consolidation. And it's pretty normal to expect some consolidation, a pause, a relaxing after a strong downward session like this. The downward trend is a very long way from being extreme for XRP. ADX is still below the negative DX line and quite a long way below 45. There's no divergence. RSI reached oversold, no divergence yet. There was single bullish divergence between price and money flow, but on its own, with ADX nowhere near extreme, I don't think that's enough to call a low in yet. Assume the trend remains the same, downward, until proven otherwise. Proven otherwise would be a new high above 0.6650 for XRP. That's it from me with your little update today. I hope this helps you. Please let me know how you're getting on in comments. I love the engagement, and thank you so much for all of your support. And if you want reliable, professional, experienced analysis of these markets, subscribe, because I will be providing this to you every day except weekends.